All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are very excited now to start our webinar, the morning session, Tech for Patients. This is the kickoff event of the DayOne Health Hack. It's all sort of a first timer today, since this is personally my first online event. We are having is the first time we do this health hack within the DayOne initiative. So my name is Thomas Brenzikofer. I co-founder of DayOne. I work for Basel area Swiss, and I manage there the events, curate the events for the healthcare innovation practice we have. If you want to spread the news, if you want to tell the people you know about this event, please do so by using this hashtag DayOne Basel. Thank you also very much for doing this, for sharing. Before we start, some notes about DayOne. This is an initiative managed by Basel area Swiss, and it has been done so in close collaboration with the canton of Basel-Stadt. And DayOne we started a couple of years ago. And these have been the people that we call the core team that have helped us to shape this initiative in all those years. That's really great for us to have this initiative together with the industry, with academia, with stakeholders from the healthcare innovation ecosystem here in Basel and beyond. DayOne is made possible also thanks to our knowledge partners you see here, and with a special thanks to our supporting partners, Arcondis, Soladis, Vosius and Partners, and Zülke. So what is DayOne? DayOne is especially about you, a growing community of 1,500 healthcare innovators across industry, across disciplines, working together to shape the future of health. And we do not just share information and knowledge, that's what we do at our events, but we also together work together, as you can see in this nice picture from the last DayOne conference, where we helped 30 plus ideas to shape, to become fundable projects. We all share this vision here. We think that we can build on the strengths of the Basel region to bring healthcare innovation to a next step. We want to have impact, and we have impact facilitating collaboration across disciplines and industries. And we have a clear focus on precision medicine, which we understand as the convergence of diagnostics, treatments, and digital health. And these are our activities. This is our activity reel. In the heart, there is the DayOne network. So you, then we do events like these ones here. We catalyze projects. Currently, we have a big project going on about aging. Then we have an accelerator where we help entrepreneurs to reach the next level, the next steps. And of course, we are open. We help foreign companies to come here and to settle in our ecosystem with their additional competencies and skills. And all this we put together in a collaborative workspace, which will be opened soon, newly, on the reopened Novartis campus. So we're very happy and looking forward to this. So the collaborative workspace we call the DayOne Lab will be there. Yes, and the DayOne Health Hack is a very special project for us, as we cover almost all of these activities we have here. It's about events, it's about people coming together, it's about the ecosystem joining forces, it's about catalyzing projects, patient-centric innovation projects, and then even bringing them one step further, accelerate them to projects, industry projects, startups, non-for-profits, or whatever. So this is the DayOne Health Hack, Tech for Patients. This is our first event we do within this health hack journey. I will explain more about the health hack journey later, but first let me call to the stage sorry, Thank you also to the partners who made this health hack possible. Roche, Experientia, our gold partners, the silver partners, Takeda, Microsoft, Novartis, Helsana. Then we have our patronage partner, very important, EUPATI, University Hospital of Basel, Health Hacking Lab, and technology partner, CSM, and networking partner, Swiss-made software. Thank you for making this possible. We're very excited to having you on board to help us to do together this journey. And this is the agenda we have for today. So after my welcome, I have a quick chat with Stephen Burke. Then we will have two presentations, one by Claudio Mirti from Microsoft and one by Michele Visciola from Experientia. Then we will have a partner talk with our partners Roche, Novartis, and Takeda. And then we will wrap it up, give you some more information about what's happening in the afternoon. Then we will have individual lunch and be back at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, where we will have the World Cafe, all done online, virtually. So we will have 6 topics where you can go into and further receive further insights of what kind of capabilities, skills, etc. are needed to make this health hack happen. The hackathon itself will, of course, take place in November, as you all know. And then we will come back in the plenary and have a partner talk with the Health Hacking Lab, Helsana, and University Hospital of Basel, and wrap it up and keep the channels open at about 17:30, 5:30, 5:40, and have a virtual apéro. And the end is at 6 o'clock. So with this, I would now like to invite Stephen Burke from EUPATI to join me for a quick chat. Stephen, are you here? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Thomas. Good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. Nice to see you again. We didn't imagine this kickoff like that, right? But EUPATI has been part of this journey since the beginning. We had the first talks maybe almost a year ago, actually, or surely 6 months ago. And so everybody is talking about patient centricity at the moment. It's really a hot topic. And why do you think this is the case?
Morning again, Thomas. So there's a group of really interesting people, and they just happen to be patients, and they're really passionately involved in trying to find solutions within healthcare. And the thing is that they provide a really valuable insight that someone who doesn't live with a disability or a disease can't give. Everyone is something else before they're given the badge of what a patient is. No one wants to be a patient. No one wants to sit at the center of a discussion around healthcare. However, when you can empower people to take back ownership from the disease, then that changes mindset. And that change in mindset is really very powerful. And so I'm glad to see that all the people involved in the DayOne Health Hack also have this positive, empowering mindset to change and empower people who are patients to take back ownership of the disease. So whenever we think about innovation, we really think about how we can join people together. Yeah, it takes a team of experts. And within healthcare, one of the experts happens to be the patient. And so it's really empowering people to take back the ownership and to come together. And I think that's where the patient who is a person who is a patient comes in as an expert to help in that collaboration and innovation.
Very good. So with the health hack, we don't only want to talk about patient centricity, we want to actually do it with this unique journey we have come up, and I will explain more details to that DayOne Health Hack Journey later. And so it's a first timer for us all. We've never done this before, putting really the patient at the starting point of an innovation process. We will do together as an ecosystem with all the partners we have. And what are you most excited about as we go on with this half year until the DayOne conference in November and the hackathon before in November?
Sure. So each year EUPATI organizes a patient forum. And last year we were very fortunate to have the guys from Health Hack come and explain to us a little bit about what they were doing with one of their projects. And culminating out of that, we sort of got this collaboration together. I'm excited because oftentimes these partners don't get the chance to meet together and discuss really in detail. And for both sides to understand, how can I use technology to make my life better on a daily basis? This is a question that people often who have an illness or a disability ask. And so now what we'll do is foster the opportunity for both of those people to actually, the tech experts, the patients, and a lot of the stakeholders to come together and really find the solutions, or at least start to find the solutions and understand where both sides are coming from. That's what I'm very excited about.
And of course, you also have some concerns. Working together with patients is, I think, in a lot of perspectives, very challenging. So what might be your concerns? What could go wrong? What could not work? Or you don't have any concerns?
Well, I'm a pretty positive person, and I know the people involved behind this whole initiative, so I don't have too many concerns. I think when we sat down at the very first meeting that we had together to discuss, one thing I raised was that we may not be able to bring every patient's journey through to the final stage. And what we made a pledge at that point was to, even if we don't have the technology or the facility to move a particular challenge or help a patient at this right moment, we're going to work hard behind the scenes to put them in touch with someone or hear them and explain to them how they can move forward in the next step. So it's a great opportunity for people who are looking for solutions, searching to see whether there is technology that can help them, for them to move forward. So for me, it's I like to flip those concerns into opportunities. And that's an opportunity for all of us to come together and really look to, as I said, empower those people to take back the ownership.
Brilliant. So maybe one last word, EUPATI, maybe not everybody out there listening to us knows what you actually are doing. So can you give a short elevator pitch of EUPATI's mission and activities?
Yeah. So EUPATI essentially is involved in training patient experts. And what that we mean is it's become known as the Patient Academy. And it's out of the European Union. And it's the European Union for Patient Academy for Therapeutic Development. So essentially we've trained some 154 experts at this stage over some almost a number of years. It's a 12-month course. And so what we're involved in really is in bridging between academia, industry, and patient groups for those three partners to come together in therapeutic development. We essentially help patients understand the business of developing drugs.
Oh, okay, very good, very good. Thank you, Stephen.
You're
you will
very
be back at the end of this day to wrap up together with us, to tell us what you learned, what we've learned, how we will go on, how we will further proceed. Thank you for the moment, and
looking forward to it.
Will be in one of the workshop sessions, of course. We will get to all that later. So now let me move on, give you some perspective on the Health Hack, DayOne Health Hack. So what are we doing here? We want to create a neutral platform which connects patients, the whole innovation ecosystem, and digital talent. So we're really open to everybody who wants to contribute. And this is also what we want to do here at the tech event, to find out how you can contribute, to find out what you can offer. So we're very open to everybody to help patients get to their solutions. We're hands-on, we want to co-create together tangible outcomes, and we most of all want to have serving real world needs. And so, shaping the future of health, let's take a step back to actually see what's the future of health about. So if you think about it, this is healthcare as we know it. It's episodic healthcare. So you feel some symptoms. This is very, let's say, actual today. So you feel some symptoms, then you go to a doctor, then you get a diagnosis. Hopefully not COVID-19, right? And then you get an intervention. In that case, it would be quarantining and hoping it's not going to be very severe. And so that's episodic healthcare. It's done. It's here to give a service, and it's here to cure. It's episodic. So you go in and you go in sick, you get out healthy again. But now, as technology evolves, we have new means, new technology there. Digital technology that allows us to capture better what we call biomarkers in a non-invasive or a very low invasive way. And with this, we can further define, we can further monitor health states. So it's all about disease monitoring. So imagine if you have been tested positive of COVID-19 and you can actually track your symptoms. You have somebody telling you, monitoring you, is it severe, what can you do, etc. So this is the next big step. And we call this patient-empowered healthcare because we need the patient to be involved. We need him to involve with us, right? And then we have even a larger circle here. We call it human-centric healthcare because here we don't necessarily deal with people who have a health issue or a diagnosed health issue. And there we can bring in more data, which are not at first sight health related. Pollution data, for instance, happen to be very important for the COVID-19, as we have learned recently. So we can then even better monitor or have a risk detection. So we know what's your health risk, and we can have smarter prevention. The tracking app people talk about now in the COVID-19 pandemic situation would be this kind of thing, a smart prevention. So that's the bigger picture. So if you look at it, we have three ways or three pathways to innovation. The first one is the health data ecosystem. We have to bring all the different data together. It's not here yet. We don't have this health data ecosystem yet. And the second one is we will more granularly understand what's happening in humans, in people on an individual scale in the health disease continuum. So we can explore more there, and then we can come up with better, smarter interventions. So not only going into a hospital, seeing a doctor, you can do remote, you can do monitoring and smart prevention, helping people actually to stay healthy. So this is what we in DayOne envision as the future of health. And actually this circle in the middle here, the patient empowered healthcare, that's the next big thing. And that's actually what I will call the sweet spot of the industry, where we can tackle a lot of problems, unmet needs, patients having to live with chronic disease, making their life better, making their quality of life better. And the point here is this red arrow here shows it. We need the patient to engage. He has to be part of it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So we need the patient to engage. And if the patient should engage, he needs to trust our system. He needs to trust the industry. And here is the problem. This is quite old from last year, but it has been like this for years. So the industry does not have the best reputation. We'll not talk about the reasons, but this has to change. If we want to tap into this circle of patient-empowered healthcare, this innovation has to, we have to change the reputation problem we're having. And it's not really getting better if you see these kind of headlines. So patients don't want to be just, you know, giving their data, exploited, and then data is going to be sold, etc. They want to have the control of it. They want to actually contribute, but have trust that the right thing is being done. That is, it serves their needs. Okay, so this said, healthcare innovation, a big part of healthcare innovation will be patient-centric. Not only, there's still a lot of biotech coming up, etc. But a significant part of healthcare innovation has to go with follow a patient-centric philosophy, and it's going to be data-driven. So that sort of goes together. And reputation matters. If we want to attract digital talent into the healthcare industry, we need to have a good reputation, and we need to be very conscious about that. And that's what we actually want to do with the DayOne Health Hack Journey. We want to create an opportunity. We want first active listen to patients, hear from them and listen to them. And then we want to engage with the patients and then identify the patient relevant outcomes we then can build solutions for. So if you think patient centricity, the approach, if we put the patient here in the center, in the ecosystem, there are all kinds of relationships. And if you just look the one from the patients, basically I pay my insurance bill. Basically I can vote some government who will then come up with the regulation, etc. And then I can go to the healthcare provider, to the hospital, and I will receive the service. But there's almost or very little relationships between me as a patient and the tech companies and me and the pharmaceutical companies, and also the relationships to the hospital, to the doctors, and also to the insurance companies can be more bidirectional as they are now. And this is exactly what we want to try to achieve with the DayOne Health Hack, create a platform where this all can happen. And so, in a nutshell, we have these four main stakeholders of the healthcare ecosystem, and we want to group them around the patient. And that's a unique and new experience we offer here with the DayOne Health Hack. And we're very happy that actually we have all the partners ready. So we have EUPATI CH, Experientia, Health Hacking Lab, somehow representing the patients. We have tech companies, Microsoft, CSM, Swiss-made software. We have the University Hospital of Basel as a healthcare provider. We have pharma companies, Roche, Novartis, Takeda, and we have an insurance company, the biggest insurance company, health insurance company, Helsana. So that's a really great opportunity to make this happen. And some principles about the hackathon. So the first one is we want to be aspirational. We want to do good things. It's not just about getting, using tech or getting a fast idea of something. We really want to do good, serve the patients. So that's patient-centric. We want to be creative and collaborative. So it's all open till the end of the Health Hackathon in November. It's all going to be open. Everything is open to be used. And we don't want to just play around with technology. We want to have technology that's industry ready, that can really be used in a scalable, and that really leads to solid solutions. And the challenges, of course, they should be feasible, doable. We don't want to do absurd stuff that will never be able to pursue in a hackathon format. And we want to support. We want to support you in doing your solutions. And the last point here is very important. We're going out to have continuity. It's not just a hackathon where you have then some sort of solutions. Afterwards, at the DayOne conference with our acceleration program, we want that these projects can have continue and really become projects, become startup companies, become products and services. So this is the journey. We're at the beginning. The tech workshop, this event here today, you will hear more about it afterwards. And after that, we will collect all the skills data like a catalog, and then we will carefully listen to the patients. We will have patient interviews, so the patient champions, as we like to call them, and really understand their needs. And then we will have a workshop where we bring both together, the tech and the needs, to curate then the challenges. And these challenges will then be offered at the Health Hack, which will take place in November, and to be worked on to create proof of concept solutions, which then at the last stage can be brought to the DayOne conference, pitched there, and there we have a big open innovation workshop where experts give their input to those challenges and try to figure out how they can really be turned into products and services, companies, etc. So that's the Health Hack Journey. We will start now today with the tech workshop. So this is a program designed to explore patient-centric approaches, of course, co-create hands-proof concepts, and together with experts and identify, catalyze innovation projects. So what's in it for you? You can engage with patients, you get firsthand insights of their needs, you can experience collaboration in a multi-stakeholder setting, and of course you can learn from and connect with healthcare innovators from the DayOne community. But we also want something from you, of course. First of all, we want your knowledge. Please bring in your knowledge, your skills, your tech. If you have data or other resources, we're happy to collect them today. That's what we will be doing in the workshops. And of course, we need your support, meaning your time, in kind, and financial. So if anybody out there wants to become partner, we're still open to broaden our partnership. Talk to me with us. Of course, spiritual. We want you to embrace this idea of patient-centric innovation and spread it out in your daily professional life. Okay, so with this, we are ready for our first speaker. I would now like to call Claudio Mirti to present his presentation, his speech. I will now stop sharing my screen. Perfect. And ask Claudio to share his screens. Welcome, Claudio.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So let me see. Good. I try to. And here we go. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
perfect.
I see your screen.
Perfect. And you can hear me, then that's fine. Good. So thanks again for having me, and also for the introduction, Thomas, and also Stephen. I think that's a good introduction to take over a little bit how we can empower, the patient journey, because as you say, the patient-centric approach is really important, and that's on top of our mind when we are talking about how we bring our technology. So I'm Claudio Mirti. I'm working at Microsoft, as you can see. So, and I'm the data and AI solution specialist covering life science customers and also reinsurance. So the two biggest one also here in that session. So when it comes to, of course, healthcare, we have the situation that, of course, always in a trusted and secure way, but data could really dramatically help us to identify maybe as well what is needed, and maybe understand also the patients, but also to improve the day-to-day lives. And what is also important is like where pharmaceutical wants to know really at the beginning to define the disease, also to reduce maybe the time of research, as we see it now with this COVID situation, as everyone is working on to really define the vaccine and who is going to be first and how much time does it need. But overall, it's also important to see when we talk about data, we have a little bit these two ways. And this is the view what we have when we support from Microsoft our customers. So we find, and also this gives maybe when we go later on to define and then different breakout sessions, is something that can be also structured in two ways. So one thing is the clinical analytics side. So really what can be done to transform data to give more insight. So in this case is like really, I will take an example, maybe taking some medical images from the patient or really give some guidance, and also understand like taking outside information with current information, and then to have a better understanding and maybe get some more insights. And then of course on the operational side is how we can make more, you know, cost efficient, also the planning of the whole stuff, and how can be, you know, all the treatments better organized and also can be supported from other areas, because this is also important to see how we can use that kind of information. Then overall, I think what is Microsoft doing is we are saying as reimagining healthcare, like also life science, because it enables us to really support personalized care, you know, with our, it starts with teams with the collaboration side, but also with empowered care teams, how they collaborate internally, but also can they collaborate with the patient, with remote, and also how we can improve these outcomes. And this is also from data, but also to structured and unstructured data that can be there on one platform that we support with different services. Overall, as you said before several times, it's like, yeah, and the technology, and it's important, yes, because we are a connected society. So without the device, you know, nothing's gonna happen now, actually. So everything is there. How we can use that as well with the new technology. So when we came through what we are saying, like we will see actually with artificial intelligence, and everyone knows AI is overall the umbrella, because behind we need the data and we need the compute power. And that's where we comes together and we say, we at Microsoft, we support life science industry, but as well healthcare and also doctors to use that technology to explore more capability, using that capabilities. In that case, it's like, if we are talking about artificial intelligence, is like a little bit, what can be done in terms of, using digital assistant in this era. You know, you've all heard about chatbots. So here to apply this for communication between doctors and also patients as a first stage. And on the other side, also object detection and also image analysis here, where artificial intelligence helps. I'll make an example. If a doctor forgets at least to make sure that when he makes a surgery, that he takes out all tools out from the bodies. And then there could be object detection help to really reduce some other diseases and effects. And on the other side as well, how we can, and this comes a little bit together, assistance of professionals and also knowledge mining, how we can combine all that information, and also, I think to build a searchable index and to connect all the information from studies and also from the documents and information that have been produced during the collaboration. And then, as we know, self-driving cars, robotic process automation, everything that can be done, the usually tasks that can be done by AI, by machine learning model. But overall, as we said, we have two flavors where we say, where Microsoft helps to support in terms of AI. One thing is we call the pre-built artificial intelligence, and that means like cognitive services that I don't have to explain, this is a glass, or this is a bottle, or this is like for what else. So there are already pre-trained models that can be used as well for the images, but also like in other areas for text to speech. I will show some example as well later on. And then we have the customized area when we say, okay, the pre-trained model are nice, but we want a more specific and customized way. And here we use machine learning and also deep learning services where we help to support and to define more a customized solution. Here is an overview about what Microsoft offers on a different level. As I said, like pre-trained model, we call them cognitive services. It starts as well, as you know already in PowerPoint, that you have already translation and also subtitle during presentation, so as well as speech. Well, I think about 60 languages now supported, and as I mentioned before, with the vision analysis. And then we have the popular frameworks where people are getting used to work on it, like the more specific, like the TensorFlow for in deep learning, machine learning environment. And then of course, our services like third-party service integrated on our Azure platform, cloud platform, machine learning, and also virtual machines with dedicated data science machines used by data engineers and also data scientists. And then, as I said before, processing the data with the compute power, and then in terms of using the infrastructure that can be spin up or spin down when be used and trained. And then we have as well flexible, like in terms of deployments, that of course Microsoft follows this hybrid approach, as we understand that certain areas are not always connected to the internet, so that here with machine learning, we call it IoT on edge, are able to run some machine learning models already trained to at least not connected at the internet in container we called, and then be then synchronized later on, but still can be used in a low level, maybe network area or where no internet is available. So bring some examples what I mentioned before with image analysis and digital assistant and artificial intelligence it's also good to understand maybe with some examples. And here is where we are collaborating with Novartis Foundation is like to build an atlas of images of the different levels of images for leprosy. We still have 250,000 cases overall who are suffering on leprosy. And the first step is also to identify where I can go, who is going to be specialized, who can be helpful for a treatment. And with the training of the images, we can define what kind of level it is. And then afterwards, with a digital assistant, we can support them to guide them in the right direction. And as I said, another example is like the digital assistant is not like we going completely lead the conversation. It's not going to happen. I don't know yet or later on. This is still something that has to be trained, but we can at least using a digital assistant to ask the patient already with the right questions, and that can be then pushed or guided to the right expert or professional that can be then follow up with them. And then the doctor already has the pre-form. It's like when you fill out the form, now a digital assistant guides you through the process. And here we collaborate together. It was a project of Microsoft Research where we collaborate together with doctors, healthcare professionals to build exactly a chatbot that has this healthcare knowledge. So all the questions that are asked when you go to visit or to a specialist. Another area as well that was announced, and maybe you heard about that, is about the AI partnership between Microsoft and Novartis. What's behind that? I think we help with our technology together with researchers on the Microsoft side and on the Novartis side together to help to find out the irreversible blindness, to analyze images in that way, to also build like an environment where other employees who don't have like a data science experience or background that can be also using AI and apply it for their work. It means that we're going to build like an environment that everyone can be used and also integrate in their daily business. And also, of course, using AI to, define new medicine and to shorten the time maybe also in certain areas. Another topic that we have is here with Roche, and I think this is something that we say was mentioned before for Steve, as with the patient-centric approach and how we can support them and also monitor on a distance and also to gather some insight. Digital biomarker, I think that's a word that everyone knows or have heard. It's about really to start over together, really quick some insights from devices that can be then helpful, and then also identify on early detection and can be used as well for clinical trials, and also guide maybe the patient at home what he has to do as next, without that he has to go out and then visit, then go to have a visit and so on, because maybe he's not able to do that based on the disease or what kind of treatment he has. And as I said before, is like using the different technology. I want to showcase here an example how it would looks like if you're using technology like speech to text, automated detection of the words that have been recorded during a conversation, and then help the doctor really to spend more time on the patient. Because if you see here, normally 67%. The doctor spells on electronic health records to put all the informations in or there and on the other system, as instead with the patient. And to change that, it's like an example here how something could looks like. And I go quick here in the middle, so to make it a little more interactive also for you. It's like here you can see on the left side, it goes now really quick, of course. On the left side is what the patient is talking together with the doctors. And here is already starting to take some suggestion and to classify the topics that he was mentioning during the conversation, and to also give an advice. It's not going to final decision. It's an advice where the doctor will check at the end and say, okay, what is the subjective? What was the objective attempts, and what assessment could be now useful for the next step. Overall, what I have to say is like, it's really important that here we never forget, and we heard that as well, that we have this patient-centric approach. It's not only to connect the patient using the device, but it's also to give them a personalized treatment, and also to use that for a collaborative research when we apply as well some clinical trials, and also help him to identify the right treatment. Overall, what is Microsoft offering here? And again, to give you an overview, you will see that as well in the breakout session with my colleagues on 3 and 6, with Melanie Werner and Joost Witt. And here we have different areas where we support. We have, as I said, Power Platform, where we can really start to build on not on a deep dive level of engineering or developer skills, really to build quickly some proof of concept and to automate and create some user experience, and at least as well to showcase a result and at the end. Because mostly, as you know, when we start with machine learning, it takes some time that you get some results and you know what it should look like, but when you have the right data overall. And here, as I say, different services where yours as well will guide you through. And then you can explore and see what's behind the platform, where you can then apply for your solutions or idea certain services. And maybe also, because I like to share that, is I use that every day when I talk to my customer, and also because as I am giving lectures, it's like a patient experience, or at least experience journey map is, I think, on the middle of everything. And we are using that as well to identify where are the interaction between a system, maybe also between a human, but also it's like, where is like, we call them digital hotspots, where we have to interact or can support with technology. And of course, sometimes there are certain areas there where you don't have a solution that can be helpful, so that you still have run the right questions and you have a human in front who has to guide them. And that's something that can be as well helpful to, you know, to identify then solutions and use cases. And of course, as I said before, trust, it's on top. And here we could not launch every service if we don't go through a process, and like we get audit through every process, every service that we're going to provide on Azure. So from GDPR on HIPAA conform and also FDA approval, everything was checked and everything went through this process, and it's also reflected if there is not already, because some services are maybe on preview there, they were not yet through, but they will go through as we have this standard process in place. Overall, I think I'm now done, and what's important for you is like try to explore, and if you have any question, also connect me on through LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy as well to support. And maybe Thomas, you have some or one more question that I can answer right now. I will stop now sharing.
Thank you very much, Claudio. We actually do have one question, maybe a quick one. So one question is about how good are the NLP algorithms for language other than English? Do you have any thing on that from your side?
Yes, I can give an answer. So this depends, we call them like a blue score. That's a score where you can train the models. So what we are doing is like we separate that in our service, that the basic questions or the basic wordings that you know from the libraries, there will be trained, and then you have the specific medical language that you can train by your own. And here we have already pre-trained models that we went through the doctors, as I said before. And for the languages, we support them as example with Chinese, we have there, it's like human parity already. And in certain areas, we are at about between 60 and 70%, so accuracy.
Oh, Claudio, you will be also present in the afternoon in the workshops. And so we will move on to the next speaker. But before we do so, about the questions, the Q&A channel, please keep on typing in there. We will take the one or the other questions, if time allows, right away, but we will save all the questions, the more general questions that concern or regard the whole health hackathon or the health hack journey. We will keep them for later in the afternoon and come back to those questions. Okay, so now I would like to ask Michele to give his presentation. Michele, are you here? Then I will stop my screen and let you share your screen. Michele? There seems to be a delay. Michele, are you here?
He's not here anymore.
Oh. We have lost Michele, if that can happen.
Experientia 1, I will just promote this person to panelist.
My screen, it's just arriving now. So the control of my hands is arriving right now. So I can
okay.
My screen.
Okay, so Michele is here. Wonderful. Hello, Michele.
Yes.
I will stop sharing the screen so you can go on with your presentation.
Wonderful. Yes, because I can only see a screen say you cannot share the screen while the other participant is sharing. So you have to, quit off your part. Okay, so I can share it now. Yes. Can you see it now?
Yes, we see it, Michele.
Okay, very good.
Go ahead.
Good morning. Bit of panic at the beginning. Okay, thank you, Dan. Good morning. And thank you, Basel, for Basilera, for such unique initiative. I think that when I started to talk with Thomas and Stephen and also Giovanni, I saw and found many common meanings and clear goals that we would like to help to achieve. So my name is Michele Visciola. I am the CEO of Experientia, an innovation design company based in Switzerland, Singapore, and Italy. I will try to engage with you in a kind of onboarding conversation to define patient centricity. What does it mean? In the next few slides, I will articulate some critical thinking. It may help define it. Let me anticipate that the Silicon Valley model of technological innovation, as we know it, however dominant it is today, cannot represent the reference model for us in our attempt to define patient centricity. Next slide. Sorry. What is going on with the slides? Because looks like I cannot move ahead with this. So to get prepared for the upcoming hackathon, I believe we should consider 3 clusters: patient advocacy, patient data and ownership, and then patient understanding on one side and healthcare professionals understanding on the other side. As most of you know, patient centricity will require substantial change and systemic transformation in healthcare and pharma organizations. The pressure to change is strong, and we are all aware of the challenges ahead of us. What kind of meanings and actions have patient groups and patient associations facilitated traditionally? We know of patient representation as having a seat at the decision table, so to say. What we should, in my view, consider is the real impact that such organizational measures can bring about in terms of new evidence. But how can such evidence be scientifically sound? Well, I will come back on this point later. Patient groups and associations can contribute to policies and processes to improve clinical protocols. But is that enough? Patient advocacy is a key part in developing deeper understanding of the role played by the context in which specific disease emerges and how different adaptations can evolve in real life. Therefore, we need not just good stories. I would underline, we need a variety of in-depth stories. The role of knowledge stewardship will have to be supported in its transitioning from dramatic implications and representations to actual contribution to patient-centric models, becoming a true asset. As to assets or pieces in the patient-centric puzzle, patient data is an asset for business and not just a technological asset. The Silicon Valley model, particularly on this point, is not sustainable. I believe it is not conducive to the outcomes we are trying to generate with patient centricity. It is known, in fact, that digital platforms and social networks can abuse personal data and generate lock-in circles that are instrumental to set preferences and choices which are not beneficial to the user or to the healthcare organizations, as they are indeed biased by their being locked in circles and therefore distant from real context and evolving adaptations. But the culture of data and evidence is of fundamental importance. I suggest that we should focus not just, however, on clinical and biochemical data, but also on so-called secondary data. I call it soft data, meaning data related to behaviors, habits, mental routines, beliefs, and cultural values, which are typically taken out of any clinical process understanding, or also from clinical trials, because they are supposedly irrelevant factors or not that much relevant. Whereas they are in fact key factor for any clinical practice aiming at inclusive modeling. The digital transformation of the healthcare system is going to bring patients at the center, and yet what kind of evidence is needed is still a complex matter. I believe that we need to understand and discuss the data gap and how modeling value from data. Finally, on this point, I think we should ask whom the data belongs to. Greater awareness of rights must be promoted. A greater transparency should be given about possible choices and their consequences to increase patients' control and not only to reduce pain. Needless to say, better collaboration is necessary between patients and medical staff if we intend to design in-depth, scientifically sound stories. It is necessary to understand the limits, operational constraints, and mental routines that characterize patients' life, as well as that of health professionals. There is knowledge asymmetry, we know that. Patients are experts of their own clinical conditions, whereas medical and therapeutic practices barely consider the personal and environmental conditions in which the disease occurs. Behavioral sciences have documented very clearly that due to limited rationality, expert knowledge is not neutral knowledge. The knowledge of even the most experienced health professionals is at its best critical knowledge. Equally, we often hear that artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms can make human judgment neutral because it is based on data support. This is the illusion of the neutrality of knowledge that we see reproduced in today's artificial intelligence paradigm. Knowledge, including expert knowledge, is construction of preferences and choices. I would therefore propose for the debate the alternative view that the role of digital technology, including artificial intelligence, is to facilitate the construction of preferences and choices. They can be achieved by reducing knowledge gaps on one side and promoting greater collaboration on the other side between different stakeholders. In the next slides, I will focus more on what I see as the two main challenges the digital transformation has today, if we really want to bring the patient at the center. And my initial standpoint in this part of the debate is that a patient-centric digital transformation should promote a cultural transformation of healthcare. My suggestion is that the cultural transformation can happen if digitalization will support a collaborative journey where the patient can have control when she or he requires it, or can trustfully shift the control to the relevant caregivers when necessary. This implies the design of an ecosystem of collaboration where competence is at the center. Are we ready for this challenge? I would say not yet, as also pointed this morning by Thomas. The digital economy has been able to grow at a very rapid pace thanks to the alignment of three pillars, as you can see in this slide. They are functionality, usability, engagement. The success of digital solutions is based on the ability to create a digital experience in which the contents are well integrated. There is a sense of flow in interaction, a sense of fulfillment due to the speed with which we carry out certain tasks, as well as satisfaction for having achieved our goal. Innovation design agencies such as Experientia have a role to play in the digital economy as we know it today, designing experiences based on the complex paradigm just presented in this synthetic slide. And still, we are on the pathway to turn to the next page. In fact, The old paradigm has satisfied the requirements necessary to make the fast part of our brain work, the one that forms automatisms, which give rise to habits and behaviors that need little mental energy, little or no attention, and perceptual motor speed. This model is well enclosed in the dominant claim of digital culture that Silicon Valley is the bearer of. Don't Make Me Think, which is also the title of a book popular not only among those who work in the digital economy. Well, today I believe we must support the slow part of our brain, so to say, the one that contributes to the formation of preferences, the representation of choices, decision-making, and critical thinking. E-health and digital health solutions should help people to think better, to become more competent. I will close this onboarding conversation of mine, going back to the initial question, what does patient centricity mean? Well, as part of the answer, I would like to take up again the topic of data modeling and value generation by big data. If we agree that data generated by the patient is owned by the patient and is a business asset, then we could design a win-win paradigm, both for our offer and technological solutions. The personal data is used to update scientific and medical models at the basis of clinical research. Hence, we make our data available to have personalized benefits that can improve and evolve the patient's habits and his adaptive behavior. Therefore, a great opportunity arises in terms of designing and innovating therapeutic solutions, clinical solutions, but also insurance solutions and payment solutions based on the use of personal data and the definition of therapeutic objectives, helping to define new habits and sustainable goals for the individual patient, the caring circle, and the communities at large. I call this behavioral change programs. Behavioral economics and behavioral design become pillars in this win-win benefit effort. Therefore, to conclude, patient centricity is a participatory, inclusive journey. This is our methodological journey at Experientia to design collaborative ecosystems. Whereas many market research agencies concentrate on the understand phase, most of the times then jumping to design products and services, we suggest that a key phase is necessary, and that is the modeling one, the lens that you can see at the center of the double diamond. So if we want to develop a true patient centricity, we need to embark on a design journey to gather real life patient data that can be transformed in comprehensive behavioral models. These models can then give place to evolutionary behavioral change programs for patients designed by behavioral designers together with service designers to build new products and services that can make a difference in people's life, making them more competent. As a result of this process, the new collaborative ecosystem can consist of new therapeutic and clinical solutions, insurance products and technological solutions, but also payment solutions that are all informed by the behavioral change programs. Thank you for listening to this onboarding speech of mine. Hopefully there will be more this afternoon to share with all of you. And I think also during this journey of the hackathon and process we are building together, there will be several other moments where we can discuss these topics.
Thank you very much, Michele. That was a very interesting introduction into patient centricity and why it's important and why it's also not such an easy thing to do, right? So we're excited having you on board to together explore this journey as an ecosystem effort. And talking of an ecosystem effort, I would like to introduce the next panel. So we have the partner panel. So I ask Stefano here to share the screen. or you, Michele, stop sharing screen,
Yes.
and
Actually,
Stefan can go on. Here we are. Yes. So I think everybody is sort of on stage, right? With this for this panel. We're a little bit over time. Excuse us. But we will now go on. Maybe first, maybe you introduce yourself. What's your role and why the health hack, the DayOne Health Hack, is important for you and what you're excited about. May we start with Stephanie and Fatma from Roche, please.
Hello, everyone. Hello, it's Stephanie. Hello, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Stephanie Dershi. I'm in Roche working as the Global Patient Partnership Director. And our team is actually, the core is the patient and bringing in the patient voice in actually all the aspects of the journey and all the aspects of as well, like the development. Is it from early development up to actually bringing then the therapy to the countries, to the markets worldwide, and kind of working together with different patient stakeholders is what is kind of the core of our team and the work I'm doing. And what I'm very excited about is in this hackathon is exactly that we are starting from the core, and this is kind of the patients and ones that are actually then using all of these kind of solutions and services and have the unmet needs. And that it's such a, I mean, just now seeing these different aspects and from the speakers, kind of bringing all of these different experiences and expertises together. That is for me super exciting.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. I think Fatma sure has something also to add on this. May I ask Fatma to shortly introduce yourself? Also Fatma from Roche, please.
Yes, thank you so much, Thomas. Hi, everyone. Fatma Rozali. I'm the Global Marketing Manager on board, happily working with Stephanie Dershi, my dear colleague, who is actually anchoring this, patient centricity every day, owing to their landscape, of course, because we have a strong legacy when it comes to patient partnership within Roche. But on top of that, I think we have the pleasure, both of us, to have a very differentiated mindset, owing to our backgrounds as well. Stephanie has talked a lot about the development stages and how it's important to do a patient-centric job, to do a fair job from development till we hit the market with our molecules. And thanks to her scientific background, actually, like, this is one of the areas that we are exploring as a micro team. But on top of that, from my personal perspective, I've done marketing all through my career nearly, and done it through companies like L'Oréal before joining healthcare. So I've kind of, been on the consumer side of the story, and I always tried to bring this mindset as a, patient as a person rather than just an insight generator. So this is quite important and interesting personally to me as a marketer to see, how pharma is responding to this new era. The very fact that we're having this meeting virtually is another, force majeure that we need to always think about and plan for. So I'm super curious and interested in hearing what partners and all stakeholders on this hackathon would say about the new generation in patient centricity. And thank you very much for allowing us be a part of this, Thomas and DayOne.
Well, thank you for joining. It's really great to have you on board. Now I would like to go to Dominic from Novartis to maybe introduce himself and give some perspective on his work. I understand it coming a little bit from another side. Please, Dominic.
Yes, hi, good morning. Yes, it's coming from the other side. Actually, we're making your dreams come true. So it's one thing that we defined what we actually want, but then in the end, you also need to kind of deliver in a compliant way, because when we talk about medical apps that we're also developing besides packaging and devices. We're talking about a compliant system. So it's one thing that we have solutions that suggest a doctor what he or she should do, and then they just click. It's another that you actually have a closed system that provides an answer to the patient or the doctor that is clinically relevant and also clinically proven. So what we do is, as I said already, where our home ground is the device and packaging, but then what we're doing is we're expanding into medical apps. So these are the regulated apps. So just as an example, what that means, we're, for example, working on, we have launched already a product that reminds patients to take the drug, and they only get a reminder if actually they haven't taken the dose. So it's not just like an idiotic or a simple timer, but it is really communicating with a smart device. Or we have a diagnostic test for reading speed or visual acuity that could help, and just it's very nice, it's very coincident here. For example, during COVID-19, would you want to go to the doctor to make a reading test or a visual acuity test to know whether you need to have your next injection into the eye? You'd rather do that from home, and you only then go to the doctor if you actually should go there, if it's really warranted. We have also on an ophthalmic, in the ophthalmic area, we just have news to share. Novartis just announced that Novartis has acquired a startup company who's doing digital therapeutics in the area of amblyopia. So that's the lazy eye disease, or kind of, yeah, it's kind of when you see the kids with a patched eyes, so that they train the weak eye, and we want to do that through gaming technology. So they, rather than being patched and stigmatized, they just do an hour of gaming in the evening, and over time that their condition should improve. So while we're actually, so the team is actually not actually writing the code, what we do is we specify what we want, and that's really important. It's you can tell, I guess, also in the upcoming health hack, really to come up with a defined what should this system do agreement is quite a challenge. And then we work with third parties. They then provide the solution, they do the actual coding, and we then do the verification and validation, again with patients, because it's one thing that we have something that works, but is it really working also with patients? That is also something that the FDA is requiring. So it's one thing that you have just a working system, but are you getting in a dangerous zone if patients use your system at home unattended? And that's in the end the way you need to go. So in short, what we do is we try to, or we are doing what patient needs, and then also make sure that this is safe and effective. For this, our team consists of experts in user experience, software experts, system engineering, human factors experts, and also quality. And I'm very pleased to say that we do have a few colleagues joining also this afternoon and also now's discussion. And so please tap into that. And the good news is also we're actually hiring. So in case you're interested, you might just want to drop in there. Very good. So this is it. So when it comes to patient centricity, I think traditionally in the device and packaging, you're at the forefront. Maybe we've not always done a fantastic job, but you're at the forefront, because what a patient does get to see is the packaging, the primary packaging, the secondary packaging, maybe a device. They don't really see the molecule, right? So I think from that point of view, we've been at the forefront. 10 years ago, we have already tapped into digital solutions. At that time, we were designing custom-made tablets. You can't imagine that nowadays because everyone's wearing kind of a way more powerful device with him or with her, the smartphone. So that really has given us absolutely new opportunities that everyone wears kind of a small ancient supercomputer with him or with her that is even connected. So that provides us with new fantastic opportunities. And why are we interested in participating in the health hack? I mean, in the end, Novartis is quite a profitable company, and we really want also to give back something to society. So it's very dear to us.
Thank you very much, Dominic. I think that was a great introduction. So we learned a lot from another perspective. Now we have a third expert here sitting at this virtual table. May I ask Daniel Leutenegger from Takeda to share his insights or his approach to patient centricity? Please, Daniel.
Thank you very much, Thomas, and really pleasure to be here. So I'm Daniel Leutenegger. I represent Takeda. I'm a global strategic patient service lead. So what we are essentially doing, going back a bit to what Stephanie already introduced in the beginning, we are very much looking into the actual patient journey, typically starting in a development clinical stage to actually define patient services around that journey. In my role particularly, I'm looking mainly at pipeline innovation. So more the new technology enabled area, what can be offered beyond the pill to patients. And why is it important for Takeda also to be here? Why is this platform really interesting? Well, as we already discussed earlier, right, we're moving, and I would describe it as we're moving from this traditional, product-focused model to an outcome-focused model where patients are at the center, right? And that this involves these various stakeholders. So what really excites me is also that this platform is very consistent with that evolution, right? And brings all different stakeholders at the table. And in order that solutions work with the patients at the center, competencies and interests, etc., from all these stakeholders need to be together. And I think this diversity of these stakeholders is one thing, but then it's also the inspiration, right? That is going to be there. I'm very sure about that. By working in a new kind of way, and this is probably the other thing, the other part that really excites me. I think it could be, it's a really interesting new platform that I hope it's not just, for this health hack event, an example. I personally hope so that this is also, a showcase how in future such, solutions can actually be developed for patients. And the third point you also asked me, right, is around patient centricity. Why is this important? I would just like to share, that I think, at Takeda we have a long history in putting the patient first, and there is this philosophy it is very close to the organization, very, very deep ingrained, is to take any decisions taking into account patient at first, then building trust for society, then reputation, and then actually business. So all the decisions that are being taken, we have to take that into account. And I think that is also quite consistent with that kind of thinking. And yes, with that, again, I would like also to thank for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to working with all the partners here and with the other ones involved. And I hope this gives a bit of an introduction from Takeda's side. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Daniel. So before we start to discuss, I would like to know from you what actually do you expect from this DayOne Health Hack? You expect new products? What are your expectations? You expect, are you more into the new, a new way of doing innovation to start? What I understand a little bit from your comments here are also, it's kind of a shift happening in the industry. So where would you position this health hack journey we're about to start together? What are your expectations of this, what we start here, of the hackathon, let's say in November? What would be success for you? Maybe we start with the ladies first, please, Stephanie.
So from the expectations, I mean, we were discussing as well up front with our team and so on, what would be kind of the prerequisites as well to be part of this hackathon. And what we were saying, first of all, that it's really this the patient centric. So it starts actually with defining the problem by the patients themselves, and actually starting there with their unmet needs. So actually, I mean, one of the expectations is definitely that it is a solution that tackles a real unmet need. And I think what Michele mentioned in his nice presentation, kind of a solution that is then as well really well integrated into kind of the patient journey and the daily needs as well of patients. Because this is, I think, often one of the problems out there with a lot of technology, that it is designed, it is kind of, it came out of an idea. However, the end user somehow feels not the connection with the solution, and this is in the end then maybe using it for a couple of months or not using it at all. And for me, one of the expectation is that hopefully, I think with all of these different mindsets together, a solution comes out that in the end brings exactly kind of it can be integrated. That would be something from my perspective. Maybe Fatma can add there as well from her aspects, but that is something I think it would be very important.
Thank you. So maybe Fatma, from marketing side.
Yes, sure, Thomas. No, this is like, I very much agree with Stephanie's point, and Michele's presentation really was quite powerful to me, because oftentimes, it's a trade-off between using technologies like artificial intelligence and losing the human side of the true patient centricity and marketing. So that's a fine balance. And as well, to Stephanie's point, what we have been observing so far, at least in the pharma, is oftentimes we assume that we have the technology and we have the answers and we have everything what it takes to bring whatever patients need. But then again, the asymmetry of information, I totally echo what Michele presented. So this is really the realities that we need to face as pharma, starting from a better place, to be able to help bring relevant solutions that can be integrated into care settings maybe, or that can be integrated into a patient's life as a consumer. I'm going to go back to my initial point, because this is like the most striking part to me of all of this event and efforts. How can we see beyond patient is the question. And if I can learn out of this platform, and to Stephanie's point, if we can have something that can be implemented in a meaningful way for any kind of patient's group, will be a tangible success parameter in my mind. But I'm so curious to learn, because this is all about, I think, collective learning at the end of the day.
Thank you, Fatma. So, gentlemen, Dominic, Daniel, some short comments on this, your expectation, please.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, we really love to support this great initiative. so to really contribute. But then also in the spirit of Stephanie, that there has to be something in for the patient. It also has to be something for us. And I mean, why are we so excited about that? I mean, for me, this health hackathon is an opportunity also for my colleagues to meet new people, to get out, to discuss, be it experts, be it with patients, get new insights. And last but not least, because we're working in a regulated environment where we have often to take baby steps only because we need to do it all compliant, this is a way now to really kind of press on the ideas into something tangible, into a prototype. That's absolutely right.
Okay, thank you. Daniel Manshor, and then I think we have to go on, sorry.
Absolutely, I'll be very short. I think I second all what what has been said before, and I think on top of that, the possibility to have this early validation with all various stakeholders, not only patients and pharma, but also having the payers at the table, having clinicians involved, and all those people, and doing these iterations. I think this is really exciting and brings us hopefully to an implementable solutions in a quick way. And one expectation I would still like to mention, I think that is in the interest of everybody, it would be great if we find something that is also transferable, to other types of problems beyond the one that we are focusing on this hackathon.
Okay, thank you very much, Stephanie, Dominic, Fatma, Daniel, for sharing your insights here. We will now move on, but you will be around in the afternoon in the workshops. So I will try to share my screen again. Yeah. Okay, so as next, I would like to call for Giovanni Nisato, who has been together on this journey since the beginning. Actually, he's the co-designer of this DayOne Health Hack. And he will now, I will hand over now, so to say, the microphone to him. I'm happy to do so, because Giovanni now will explain what will happen this afternoon. So is Giovanni here, please?
Hello, everybody. Okay. Okay. Giovanni Nisato speaking. So we are working with some of the technical details, so thanks for bearing with us. So as Thomas was mentioning, I'm extremely privileged to be here with you. I'm one of the people that has designed the entire event, so not just what we're going through today, but the entire journey. And as we wrap up this morning session, which has been extremely inspiring for me from different points of view, I'd like to tell you a couple of things. So this afternoon, we are switching into a more collaborative mode, which has its own layer of challenges. So we had over 110 people this morning tuned in and listening in. So we would very much like to continue with all of you this afternoon. So we will resume, actually we will open the Zoom room at 1:30, and I will start explaining in more detail again how we work at 2 o'clock. There will be 3 different breakout sessions. So at the beginning, when you dial in the Zoom room, we would like to ask you to rename yourself, and just maybe Thomas, maybe go back to the previous slide for a second. So and the next slide we will show me more details, but these are the 6 themes that we chose. There's some overlap between these different themes, and the idea is that there will be inputs from the different partners that you see on your screen. And these are all sponsors and active members of the ecosystem in building and delivering the the DayOne Health Hack. This afternoon, the idea is that the members that you see, but all of you can actually explain and explore what are the ingredients, what are the technologies, the data sets, the skills that could be brought on the table to make the DayOne Health Hack possible. So this is really what we're beginning on, collecting the tools. In parallel, Steve and Michele, that you've had the pleasure to see today, have started the process to identify the patient champions and the different challenges. And the next stage, the curation stage, will happen during the course of the summer, and that is organized and led by the Health Hacking Lab. And all of this will culminate in the DayOne Hackathon in November. So this is, again, a quick summary of the journey. Now, the next slide from Thomas. So we will open the Zoom room at 1:30. Just be aware that it's a different Zoom room than the one you're in now. So please check the registration email reminder you should have received, and make sure you dial in and just the correct room. After you get in the room, please change your username. And again, all of this will be repeated this afternoon in case some of you are not able to listen, tune in right now. Please indicate, first of all, the different roundtables you're interested in. For example, if you want to look into key resources first, and then into sourcing the right data, and then into the cutting edge health hack, you would type the number 623. Please type your name so that we can find who you are. This is like your name tag, and the name of the organization. So this will enable the moderators and the facilitators to identify who you are, including the other members. So again, it's a great pleasure and honor to be here. It's really, really nice to be able to contribute this entire effort, and I look forward to seeing you later this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Giovanni. So also from my side, thank you very much for listening. Thank you to the great presentations and the presenters. Thank you for the great panel. I think it has been very inspiring, a little bit long. I would like to excuse me for that. Now we have to serve some food, and hopefully we will all see you back this afternoon. It's going to be a great afternoon with a lot of interesting technology to explore and people to learn to know and network. Thank you very much, and be back at 1:45. Thank you.
So great. My name is Giovanni Nisato. I am a innovation management consultant, and I just want to make sure that my video is not being switched off to video. Okay. I had the great pleasure to support Basel area Swiss, especially DayOne, in the design and the execution of the first DayOne Health Hack Hackathon journey, and the journey starts today. This morning you had some very, very insightful and comprehensive introductions to the theme by several experts from very different industries, and of course by Thomas, who introduced the entire concept. This afternoon, the idea is that we are going to start collecting the key contribution from the ecosystems, data sets, technology, skills that will enable the health hack in November. So this is already a team forming exercise, and we're going to have a concrete outcome of the work we are going to do this afternoon, which is going to be a document. It's going to be the first catalog of who can do what and what do we have available. So we start a couple minutes ahead of schedule. So we had a long, how do we get into the tool this afternoon. We're going to have 3 breakout sessions, and I will be guiding you on how they're going to be running. So we start the breakout sessions at 2:15, so it's actually in a few minutes. at 4:30, we're going to actually have another roundtable moderated by Thomas. So we're going to have 6 roundtables, and you've indicated the parts that you'd like to be in, and Stefano will be routing you in these different roundtables. You will just have a message appearing, and you will have to click it, and you will be there. Each one of these roundtables has a moderator and a facilitator, and I will be telling you a bit more what these people are going to do. So each roundtable is going to last 30 minutes. In the first 10 minutes, there are going to be inputs from different partners that were selected to present. And during that time, we would highly encourage the participants using Zoom chat to write a couple of lines about yourself, your interests or capabilities. That will be helpful to identify who you are, and you can also look at and just have an idea of the crowd around. That's followed by 10 minutes that is of questions and answers that are moderated. And the last 10 minutes are to collect different thoughts, ideas, additional contributions. And this is going to be done by facilitators that are going to be sharing a whiteboard, which is basically a PowerPoint slide. And then they could, for example, copy and paste some of the points communicated via chat. So as participants, you communicate using the Zoom chat function. We will close the rooms on time. When they're closed, you're back in the plenary. Please use the time to go to the bathroom, do some squats, push-ups, whatever makes you happy, and take a break. And then we will start again on time. These are the 6 different themes: the best-in-class toolkit, sourcing the right data, cutting-edge health technologies, patient-centric design, skills and mindset, and key resources on facilitation. So these are the different themes that we'll be addressing this afternoon. The moderators are going to be focusing on a human interaction. Make sure the content disclosed is appropriate, keep the discussion flowing, and time management. So guys, we really count on you to be mindful that we'll be closing the rooms on time. Participants, feel free to share and to talk, also share your video if you want, and anything in writing, please via Zoom chat. For the facilitators are going to be doing a lot of work behind the scenes, supporting the moderators, and for example, managing this whiteboard process so that it's more visible how the team are constructing their input. Each session is recorded, audio, video, just to make sure we're not losing precious inputs, and by entering, you're consenting to do so. So that's an example of a empty whiteboard with the theme, and then there might be some clustering depending on how the discussion is going, and different post-its or different areas are then populated by the facilitators following the inputs from your discussions. So the landing document, so where all of this is going to be summarized in, is a PowerPoint, and we will use it to follow up with you to see what can we bring to the creation of this hackathon together in November. And I would like to say thank you. We have a couple of minutes. If you have urgent questions, I'd be more than happy to take them, but at 2:15, Stefano will start opening the rooms and guiding you gently there.
Yes, I can.
Excellent. So Thomas was basically asking your view because you were super enthusiastic about this entire initiative from the very beginning. So if you can share maybe your thoughts and observations even after today.
Yeah, sure. Maybe I can say why I'm enthusiastic about doing it, and I think so I'm working in a hospital for all that we didn't meet, and I'm in charge of building the data warehouse, and there you already see that within a hospital there are huge problems that people, for various reasons, are not really hot on sharing data even within a hospital. So that's a huge problem, and it took quite some work like motivational work to get access to data, even for me being in the hospital. And while we are working on that, that's not where I would like to stop, because you know, the hospital contact that a typical person has is only a very short kind of snapshot of all the stations that this person moves through in the course of a disease, and also in course of, again, health that we would like to achieve and keep after an interaction in a hospital. And so basically, I've always been looking for ways and means to already start pretending that we have everything covered in the hospital, which is not the case, and start looking for, like, what if we had all the data in a very good shape within the hospital? How can we make it available, and where is it most needed? And that's what I find very attractive about also our environment, because we have hospitals, we have primary care physicians in the region, we have insurers, and we also have pharmaceutical companies. And of course, you know, I'm not a naive idealist, but I would find it great if we would step away from our personal interests. I think that's the main thing that will be needed to make this patient-centric. If you know, I think all our institutes are the problem in a sense. The way we are set up now, we are more or less hedged against each other, and I think that's actually in nobody's interest, because we all will become a patient sooner or later, and then we will pay for this kind of too much of a isolated view on the problem. So that's what motivates me to have a chance to work with people from all these different fields, maybe on a neutral playground that this hackathon could be. And I hope that we can really make that happen. If Thomas didn't fix it, I can go on forever, right?
Giovanni, you're on mute. Yeah.
Abi, thank you very much. So I'm supporting Thomas because he's having some technical difficulties here, and I'd just like to to bounce on the maybe Abi, since you're on, maybe you could also introduce yourself a little bit for those that didn't participate in your roundtables.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Giovanni, and hello, everyone. My name is Abhi Verma. I'm a co-founder of the Health Hacking Lab. The Health Hacking Lab, for those of you not familiar with it, is a non-profit volunteer organization which provides an organizational platform to bring we just call them solvers or health hackers together, from various backgrounds, technology, psychology, industry, wherever. But they come together to solve what we call as day-to-day challenges in the life of a patient, and really looking at commonly available tools, be they technology or otherwise, to support patients in their day-to-day, and just to make their life a tad bit better. That's what we do.
So how is it aligned? How is the DayOne Health Hack aligned with what you do?
Just by the name itself. so
Okay, open and shut. Thank you, Abi. Giancarlo, can you hear me? Are you online?
Yes, I'm online.
Giancarlo, thank you so much.
You're
so
welcome.
Giancarlo, now you're representing Helsana, and that's one of the insurance, one of the big players that's part of this. And we've heard several times how data insurance and all these things. Can you introduce yourself for those that didn't have a chance to interact with you, and why are you here today? Why are you even sponsoring this, and how does it fit into what you're trying to do?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you, Giovanni. It's very nice of you. Well, I've been working for Helsana for about 10 years now, but previously I used to work also for the private industry. also for a medical lab. So I know a bit also the other healthcare providers, the other stakeholders that are around in the market, which is a great advantage, especially now that everything comes together in a health insurance. Why do we participate? Obviously, this is a question that concerns everyone else. I mean, the main target was to, connect closely to all the stakeholders, things that we are already establishing, things that we are already doing. As a matter of fact, I'm working at Helsana as a contract negotiator. I'm negotiating contracts with healthcare providers, such as hospitals, physicians, but also with the industry. As a matter of fact, focusing on potential medical innovations, excluding pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals and innovative pharmaceuticals are not things we're dealing with. I mean, not personally, this is something that another team is doing. But nevertheless, Helsana has been involved in using their data in a very efficient and sensible way already very often in the past. Most people, also some people working for DayOne, know that we're publishing, together with the European Centre for Pharmaceutical Medicine of Basel, a pharmaceutical report. It's called Pharmaceutical Report of Helsana. Lots of people are looking forward to receiving that, and this is being published every year. What do we do with that? We are actually taking Helsana data, customers, getting reimbursed for pharmaceuticals, especially for cancer treatment. These are very expensive ones. So we're publishing this data together with this institute, making it also available to the public. I mean, there's a very good example on how we could use our data and provide a support for others. But the impact is always at the end on the cost. This is something I wanted to emphasize now at the end, also during this part of the discussion, that we should also put some sort of a focus on the cost, because finally we're all paying the bill. We're all paying the premium. So if the cost increase, the premium increases. So I would like also to focus the discussion today a bit on that, because reimbursing innovations for the innovation's sake, just like that, without really having some sort of evidence that it brings a better outcome, a better treatment outcome, a better medical service for the patient, and obviously as a conclusion, in a long term, and reduce costs, obviously, that's a great impact that is of great interest for Helsana. And why do we cooperate in this context? Because we expect that basically once we interviewed customers or patients, those patients get a solution for their daily problems that they have, a solution that helps them, cope with the disease much better than they did before. Or something I discussed also with Bram, where we would put the focus is preventing preventable diseases, because at the end, we're paying the bill for diseases that are treated. If you're preventing them in the first place, this is something we could prevent generating costs. So I think it's understandable to everyone.
Beautiful. Thank you, Giancarlo. I think I'm going to be able to pass on to Thomas, who in the meantime sorted things out. And Thomas is going to continue moderating this session.
Yes, thank you, Giancarlo. And most of all, thank you also to Stefano for helping me out. Somehow my computer got too hot and it didn't want to do this all anymore. Anyway, we'll continue. Thank you, Giovanni, for helping me out here. So we're talking about patient centricity. Why are we only talking now about patient centricity? Why is this, or why is this such a new concept? If it is a new concept, I would like to have your comments on this. Maybe Bram, you start first from a hospital. I mean, you work with patients every day. Maybe not you personally, but that's actually, patients are in the center. So is there a change going on in a hospital, how we deal with patients, or are they listened to? Do we actively try to innovate with patients or find new solutions together with patients? Can you please give us some perspective on that?
Yeah, sure. I think actually patient centricity, let's say talking as a doctor, is nothing new. I think it's actually very natural as a doctor to think of your patient as the center of your world. I think that maybe the last decades we ran into a problem that, let's say, we lost trust and between parties, from patients to doctors. but also from, let's say, doctors and insurances. And to make up for the trust, and it will never work, we started to introduce more and more documentation on all sides. And that took a lot of patient centricity out of the job, I think. I think that's maybe one of the key points, is to create trust again between the different parties, because now we're replacing trust by documentation, and it costs a lot of money, a lot of time, and actually it leaves the patient in a more in a process than in a personal relationship with everybody who tries to provide care. So we're wasting a lot of money. That's probably my point on secondary processes that in turn not only create a very inefficient healthcare, but also a very impersonal. So basically, we have to reinvent or return to patient centricity, and but don't have to think that it is something new. The other thing is that I think it's a marketing term that sounds nice and is misused a lot, and I cannot see how, you know, I have discussions with, well, some larger pharmaceutical companies that don't want to share data but say that they want to do patient centricity. So I will be in a call after this meeting exactly about that, and that to me is funny, because then I say it's a slogan and it's not really something you want to do. So I'll stop. You know, this is something.
Thank you, Bram. Thank you for always very inspiring comments from your side. Maybe we go to Abi. I think, Abi, you have sort of two hearts in your chest. For one part, you work at a famous big pharmaceutical company, and the other one, you started this health hacking lab here in Basel. So here you are as a health hacking lab. Trust, we heard it. Patients don't trust the industry. And that's actually was somehow also the starting point, right? So if we don't get what the industry gives us, then we do it by ourselves, right? That's what the health hacking lab tries to do.
Well, yes, and no, actually, let me start backwards. Thank you, Thomas, for inviting me to this discussion. Firstly, so what the Health Hacking Lab tries to do is not fill a void of what industry or what patients may feel, and that may not be addressed by industry, right? Because for all the intents and best purposes that industry does, things fall out of the innovation process, and things are missed out. Features are missed out, either because of the methodology, either because cost or market size or economics, or someone didn't think of it, or it was designed for someone else. Really, there is no deliberate intention to exclude someone, right? It's just how the process is, and so on. And the Health Hacking Lab was actually born out of inspiration, where we had friends and colleagues who had actually created their own solutions because they were closest to understanding what their pain point was, right? And industry followed 1 or 2 years later with more regulated or formal solutions. And hence the idea comes forward, and which is also then leading to this hackathon is, hey, maybe there is, in the panel discussion, in the roundtables, I gave one small example of one of the things we're working on. There are a few other, and I'm sure via this health hackathon and through this entire process, we'll come up with dozens and dozens of such ideas. And who knows what that leads to? Maybe this is a feeder into industry to take these up and make these into formal products. Maybe it creates companies. Maybe it helps just that one person who came up with the challenge. All of that is mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned, right? So that's how we think of it. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Abi, yes. We hope we get a lot of solutions and a lot of ideas and inspire the industry. I think the patient really should also, to a certain extent, as explained at the beginning, take over, take control, be active. Giancarlo, maybe from your side, we have heard it, trust, active patients. What does a payer, what does an insurance company think of that? Do you actually want active customers that say, hey, Giancarlo, give me this solution, give me that solution, I want this, I want that, or isn't it just better that you do process and do stuff like it has ever been?
Thank you for this question, Thomas. It's a very delicate question, obviously. It was very well chosen, but there's a good point that you're making here, because you know that one of our participants mentioned on a chat that he said, you know, why did you guys mention a health insurance as the payer? What's that supposed to mean? You know, we would like to see us, I mean, you know that this is one of the major points I'm making all the time, as a player and not as a payer. And that's why we're participating here, you know, just to make sure that we're not talking about it only, but we're really doing something concretely about it. We would like to see us as a trustee, and the trustee of our customers includes the words trust. And obviously everything is about trust, finally. Data especially, I mean, whom do they belong to? They belong to the patients, obviously. Some doctors believe they belong to them. It's always a big discussion, but let me make a few points here. First of all, we would like to see ourselves as trustee, and we act that way. And you know that most people that contact me, startup companies with innovative services, innovative medical devices, innovative diagnostic tests, ask exactly this question: is there some way that you guys pay for that? You know, that's why I made clearly before that, you know, reimbursing an innovation should have some sort of an impact on the health outcome. Should bring some sort of an evidence that finally on a long term you're saving money in the interest of everyone else, because everyone is involved. I mean, you know that in Switzerland we're using this solidarity system where, let's say, the healthy ones pay for the sick ones. So the less are sick, the better for everyone else. Let's bring that also to the point of the incentives. Maybe we got the wrong incentives, you know. Maybe we should create new incentives. Let's say that, you know, do everything you can in order to prevent you to get ill. That's something we're doing with the Helsana Plus, the Helsana Coach, explaining to people, you know, if you're doing something about your health, we're willing to, you know, give you some money for that. Maybe we develop, you know, insurance products where we say the less you're using it, the less you're paying for it. There are so many different models, but also major input I would like to make about trust. I don't know if you know that we're offering this service at Helsana. It's a unique service we're offering in genetic counseling. I saw that Bram mentioned also genetic data. Before we offered the service, we made a market research, and we asked about 1,000 people, what do you think about it if we would offer this service? Would you use this service? Are you willing to pay something for it? And when we asked them, most of the people answered they would be interested. But with the context and with the conclusion that they said, yeah, but how am I supposed to know that you guys are not using this data against us? That you basically making a negative selection, that you're saying, okay, this guy, you know, has a potential of having some sort of inheritable genetic disease, so we're excluding him from a supplementary healthcare insurance product. And you see, that was about trust, obviously. And nevertheless, because we saw that the response was quite positive, we offered the services. And we made sure that people know and understand that they get access to experts that do that on their own. We don't get any data, we don't get any results, we don't get any information. And so you see, it's possible to do it, but you have to go completely new ways.
Thank you, Giancarlo. So let's do one final round before we close this very enthusiastic session. The whole day was very enthusiastic, I think, at least for me and for us here from the team. So expectations. What do you expect from the Health Hack? What are we going to see when we reach the hackathon? So what are your expectations? Maybe we start with Bram again. Very short comment, thanks.
Yeah, no, I think I expressed my hope already in the first statement. So I hope that it will be a neutral playground where we can bring together data and knowledge from different fields that are normally obstructed somehow. and that we can have the experience of what it could bring if we wouldn't have these obstructions. And that's some interesting ideas would come from that. And maybe it's an impulse to see that we definitely don't need it, and we can work around it. That would be great if that could happen.
Abi, your expectations from the health hack, for the DayOne Health Hack, what will we see in November?
I'm a visual person, right? So I imagine this big room, right? Lots of energy and people, lots of diverse people walking into the room, all excited. You can imagine them coming in, lots of buzz, and then people come in and you know, like how a hackathon will be, they will pitch the patient challenges, and then you start to see the expressions change, right? Because suddenly the light bulbs go off, and then the excitement says, oh, here is something which I can really do to help someone, right? And then people will break out, and then they'll start to hack and create solutions, and then they'll stay all overnight. And so that's, I think if we just achieve that much, even if it's with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people, let alone 150 or 500 or whatever, to me, just getting that experience in the ecosystem and the community in itself, right, is in the big picture, it's probably a modest step, but you know, one small step. That's,
Thank you, Abi. Yeah, I really do hope that we will be together in the room by November. I really do hope that. But that's not in our hands. It also works virtually, as we have seen today, but we hope that we are in the room. Giancarlo, one big, what do you expect? What does Helsana expect from this health hack? What do you want to see?
I mean, for me, it's very simple, you know, that we could, you know, develop some really implementable solutions for solving or leveraging concrete problems, real world problems of patients by using a multilateral approach, you know, multi-stakeholder approach, and with a positive impact on the outcome and on the quality of life of these people, with obviously again an impact on healthcare cost expenditures.
So thank you very much. Yes, so actually we deliver on the promise, right? That's what we want to do. And I think it was so far a really great day today. We will now wrap it up. Awesome. I have a little bit of problem of changing the slides here. Okay, so now I would like to ask Stephen to rejoin, and of course Giovanni to rejoin our group here. Are you present?
I'm unavailable.
You're available. Okay, so Stephen, first of all, are we ready? Do you think we're ready? We're ready to meet the patients with all these capabilities, skills, platforms, whatever was discussed today? Are we ready?
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to be able to discussing with the patients now what partners came into the room today and having a little look at what might be possible. So I think we're well on the way. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so do we have the patients, Stephen? I know that you reached out to patients, so are they there? Are they eager to participate here?
We have a number of patients who have already put their hands up and who are interested in getting involved, and they're very keen to see how technology can help them sort of reclaim some of that quality of life. And as I said, you know, they're people who are patients. They're in one part of the one expert in the whole area of the healthcare. It's going to be a collaboration, and as long as we keep it that positive and transparent and be mindful that we want to collaborate together, I think we're in a really good pace. Yeah, so we have patients from a number of different disease areas, and they're excited and ready to rock and roll.
Thank you, Stephen. Of course, you will all hear from those patients. We will have the patient interviews now with the patient champions. That's our next
Thomas,
step.
you're muted.
Oh, sorry.
I'm hearing him.
I could hear him as well.
Okay, so I start again. So now we will have the next step is the patient interviews. We want to onboard those patients, patient champions, as we call them. And that's going to be the next step. And then we will have the workshop, the patient-centric workshop happening in September. Maybe Giovanni, and then what's next?
Thomas,
We hear you.
okay, great. Yeah, because I had to find another location, otherwise we had massive feedback. So what's next is a process that has already started, and thanks to Steve and Michele Visciala from Experientia. So the idea is to identify patient champions and identify the context of the situation they're in and to document that. The stage after this, so they're already interviewing people and identifying important stakeholders, the patients that are to be brought into this process. The stage after that is to check whether we can address those challenges with the technology skills and platforms that we started further identifying today. And this is actually the aim of the curation process. And in that, the Health Hacking Lab that Abby is representing will be playing a very important role. And all of this is leading us to the hackathon that will take place in November. Now, originally this is, and as of actually even the event today, this is meant to be a physical event. And because of the current situation, we are already beginning to evaluate options on whether to make it a hybrid event, or depending on what will happen, it might be a fully digital one. Either way, it will happen. And this is taking place right before the DayOne conference, which is giving a very visible platform at the world level to show the outcomes of the DayOne Health Hack. So this would be a way for teams to showcase the results, and following up on Abby's visual, it would be awesome if on the DayOne conference we could have a few patient champions saying, hey, I am such and such, this is my life, these are the things I have to go through every day, and after this hackathon this weekend, these are some things that could be making a difference in my life. And that could be a way to propel these projects to the next stage.
Thank you, Giovanni. So exciting times, exciting half of a year in front of us. These are the dates so far. We will get back, of course, we will reach out to you end of June to communicate from the patient's interview and to formally, of course, invite you to the hackathon. Please spread the word. If you want to participate in the health hack, please also connect with us during this time as we go further on with this process, with this journey. And also we will afterwards, if you want to connect among each other, we will open the private chat room so you can reconnect. We had a couple of requests that people want to actually network, right? So please do so. And also we will share the list of the participants. So if somebody does not want to be on the list, please reach out to us immediately. So we will, of course, not put you on the list, but otherwise we will be open to share this list so you can reconnect with the colleagues. And we're also thinking about, actually, we're doing it afterwards to open a Slack channel to get this conversation going, because I think it's very important to have you involved. So also, of course, this this presentation will be available afterwards, will be sent to you. With this, I would like to close now, and I really would like to thank the presenters for coming here and sharing their insights. And also the moderators, great job. That was not, I mean, it's already happening. The whole ecosystem is coming together. You helped us. You did a really great job. Thank you very much. That was super good. And then please, the next slide. Of course, the team of Basel Area Swiss, the facilitators, nice job. And now I would actually like to do a big applause, because the biggest applause, I think, goes to Stefano Glauser from Basel Area Swiss, who produced this online event, which was really super, super good. So I will clap my hands now for Stefano. And now, please, the next slide. And of course, thank you very much to our partners, which had made this possible, which make this possible, this health hack possible, as we go on in the journey. And so we will now keep all the channels open. So please just feel free to do whatever can be done, right, online. And thank you again for joining. It was a great experience for us. Thank you for engaging. I think we can really make a difference here with all of your support and engagement. It's been a really great afternoon, morning, afternoon, day. And yes, thank you very much, and see you next time.